All right. Cool. Yeah. So again, if people have questions as we go, let me know. And it's okay if you want to stop me and because you have a question about the current slide or something, that's totally fine. Again, our plan is to record this and actually create a YouTube video out of it in order to share it. So just keep that in mind, just for like privacy purposes. If you ask a question or if you put your video on, it may be in a video that gets shared with other people. So I'm going to start. Again, feel free to put questions in the chat if you have questions, or to raise your hand with the raise your hand feature. All right. So again, I'll do my best to kind of cover, I think, most of the questions people have, but let's go ahead and start. So just to not bury the lead, this is kind of old news at this point, but basically the state of Texas and TEA have said that any kid who's learning remotely when a STAAR test occurs is not required to take that STAAR test. So I'll leave this up here for a little bit. So there's some implications for that, but some of the big questions I think people have. So again, if your student is virtual and chooses not to test, we are responsible for providing some sort of learning that day. So that'll likely look like an asynchronous assignment, but the point is your child can be counted present as part of school, even if they don't come take the STAAR test. So the kids that don't take STAAR, they're not considered non-participants. So generally, like a kid would be given a 0 and it would count against the campus and against the kid if they didn't take STAAR. So basically, everyone will be held harmless if they choose not to take STAAR. The one kind of exception, and we'll talk a little bit about this later, is for our EOC assessment. So the only EOCs we give are algebra and biology, but I can talk a little bit more about that in a second. So yeah, these are kind of the big implications. So STAAR this year has nothing to do with promotion or retention of individual students. It has nothing to do with our accountability as a campus or for accountability ratings for teachers. Because not everyone's taking it, STAAR also should not affect future magnet applications. So if you're thinking about middle school magnet or high school magnet, the one thing that is kind of a big deal is biology and algebra, like we said, for EOC. So of course your child will move on to the next course if they pass biology or if they pass algebra, but they will be responsible for taking that EOC at some point before they graduate from high school, because those EOCs are required to graduate from high school. So what I'm hearing, it sounds like from high school campuses, is they'll probably make kids take it in December. So if I'm an 8th grader right now, I'm taking biology course, I'll get the credit for it if I pass it, and then my high school campus will ask me probably to take the biology EOC at the end of the year. So I did send out a communication specific to 8th graders, but I am also happy to answer questions on that. Mr. Ing, are there any questions in the chat yet?
No, we're good.
Keep going then. This is the schedule. So this is a lot of text, I'm sorry. The tests coming right up are grades 4 and 7 writing, so that's next week. And then everything else is in May. Some kind of weird things here. So yeah, if your student takes Algebra 1, they do not have to take this grade 8 math. If your student takes biology, they don't have to take this grade 8 science. And the only other weird thing is, in order for our current 7th graders to be ready for biology next year, we are, again, just students who are on campus or students who want to come, we're having 7th graders take 8th grade science on May 6th. And then everything else is pretty straightforward. So Friday, social studies. And then these are the two biggest days are Tuesday, May 11th, Wednesday, May 12th. And those are our main math and reading tests that we have students from 3rd grade all the way to 8th grade participating in. So this is kind of our plan here at the campus. So the kids here coming here to take the test at MEMS are taking it paper and pencil. obviously there are some kids who have like accommodations for computer testing, so of course they'll get to computer test. But in general, if you're sending your kid to the building, or if your student's already in person, they'll be taking a paper and pencil test. And our scheduling, like we're spreading kids out. So for example, fourth grade right now is going to be spread out into 4 classrooms. So each room has like a maximum of, I believe it's 16 right now, students. And then of course, as we get RSVPs that say, hey, I'm not coming, hey, I'm not coming, that number gets smaller and smaller. And I expect on the actual test day, it'll be somewhere more like 10 or 12 students in a room. And we'll follow all the normal safety procedures, right? So everyone's wearing masks the whole time. Yeah, so it will be safe if you choose to send your virtual learner to school. There are also going to be times that we're going to use the gym as a testing room. We did that for our PSAT 8-9 for 8th graders, and it worked really well. The room is really obviously massive, well ventilated. We can spread the desks out really far. And then also just as far as coming to the school, it's safe because your kids will come in, they'll come into the cafeteria, they'll go into the gym, they'll go back to the cafeteria, and then they'll pick up and go home. So it's about as safe as you can get. So this is kind of a big picture campus plan. I mentioned these 2 days, May 11th and May 12th. These are the days with like math and reading STAAR happening. So this is just something to put on your radar. TEA is allowing campuses to apply for waivers to basically keep some, basically ask some grade levels to stay home to allow for elective testing on campus. So tentatively, like our plan now on those 2 days is to basically ask all non-testing grades to stay home and learn asynchronously on those days. And the reason is it gives us more rooms to spread kids out more safely, and it also gives us more teachers to act as testing proctors to make sure kids are testing safely. Our plan is only to do it on these 2 days. And again, it's about safety. It's about having classrooms and people to keep everything safe and as spread out as possible. Okay, so yeah, sorry, you already saw the slide. All right, so we did send out a survey for 4th and 7th grade writing because it's next Tuesday, but we will send out a survey for the May dates. So the date I put here was the expected in Mr. Ng's Friday communication on April 23rd. And the survey, basically, I'm giving you guys 3 choices. So definitely yes, my kid is going to test. Definitely no, my kid is not going to test. And then I put this option. I put this option just because I know there are people kind of on the fence. I do ask if you choose this like not sure, and then you make a decision, then feel free to go back in and take the survey again. I do want to add, because I didn't put a slide about this in the HISD communication. It did say that if you wish, you can have your kid test at your like neighborhood school. I think technically you're allowed to do that. I think we're kind of trying to discourage it. And just having worked at neighborhood schools before, I know it is a big hassle to have somebody who's not one of your students come on, just even for safety reasons. And then we'll have your students test here, right? You'll have the test is here. It's pre-coded. It has your kid's name on it. And if your student decides to test on a different campus, it makes it a lot harder for that campus to have to bubble everything in and prepare everything. But yeah, that is technically an option, and I believe you're supposed to reach out to the neighborhood campus if you're interested in that. This is just kind of logistics of if you're a virtual. If your child's a virtual learner and they are coming to campus for STAAR, here are the logistics. So our normal arrival time, so they should arrive between 8:05 and 8:30. We'd like them to enter and straight into the cafeteria through the dragon door. We want our testing to begin around 8:55, 9 o'clock, and we expect everything to be done around 1:30. The things that kids can bring if they're coming to campus, so they can bring lunch if they want. We'll also have school lunch. They can bring water. We also have little water bottles if somebody forgets or something. You can send some small snacks for break times during the test. And then we have plenty of number 2 pencils, but it would make things easier if you guys sent your student with number 2 pencils. So picking up, we're trying to avoid having people have to enter the office. So people have seen this already this year with some of the other testing we've done, but basically you guys would pull up and pick up right there at the dragon door. So you would still have to sign out your student, but you wouldn't have to enter the front office. For this testing, because we're expecting to end around 1:30, we'll do this pickup between 1:45 and 2:45. And then after 2:45, you'll have to enter the office if you want to check your student out. A question someone asked me on this, if your student is normally in person, then they will not be like available for this type of pickup, if that makes sense. So again, if your kid took STAAR and you're like, oh, I want to pick them up a little early today, that's fine. You can come to the office and do that, but they won't be available for this like drive-through pickup. Part of that's just like a safety, like not having all of the kids in the building in the cafeteria waiting to get picked up. Attendance, if your child participates in the STAAR test, so if they come to campus and they take the test, they're present for the day. If they don't, if any student, any virtual student does not participate in the test, there will be asynchronous activities that they'll have to do to be counted present that day. This make it a little complicated, but if your student's in person and they're absent on a testing day, then they are absent. They will be counted absent, just for testing reasons. Yeah, all the in-person kids are going to be responsible for taking the test eventually. So yeah. Those are all the slides that I made. I hope I covered most of the questions, but I'm sure we'll have some more. So let me actually stop sharing the screen.
All right, we have one question. Lisa, if we decided to test at the zone school, we need to contact that school to make arrangements?
That's my understanding. Yes. Now, I don't know, did that parent survey, Ms. Rain, that went out Friday, what was that a prerequisite to be able to do that, or no? Okay. Yeah. So that's my understanding, is that you would reach out to the zone school.
And we have a couple hands up.
And I did say, can you reshow the slides? Maybe I can at the end. Go ahead. Sorry.
Excuse me, is it a good time to ask the question?
Please go ahead.
So if my child is the 6th grader and we've been learning remotely for the whole year, and we're not gonna take, so we're allowed not to take a STAAR test if the child goes ahead and takes it, is that counted towards, or what is like if the child actually takes or elects to take the test, what are the consequences, I guess, to that?
Got it. Like, could it possibly be negative or something, right? I can't see where there'd be any downside to that. I think I could imagine us using the data for, like, let's say we were going to make like a reading intervention class, for example, next year, like, and so we want to decide which students would need that support. So I think one data point we may look at would be their STAAR score. But yeah, there wouldn't be really a negative for that. I see lots of good questions.
Okay, thank you.
Can I go ahead? I'll answer. So Ms. Chacon asked about the placement for math and science for 8th grade. I'll let Mr. Ng jump in if he has something extra to say on this, but I believe it'll mostly be teacher recommendations, and then the parents will be able to make a request too, right, Mr. Ng, like by a certain date. Is that right?
I can't say for sure if we can take parent requests at this time. Just knowing that, you know, we may not have enough teachers, but we'll have to revisit at a later date. But mostly the teachers will, you know, be able to tell us who will be ready for the algebra and biology classes.
And I'll add on that because this makes me think about, and I mentioned earlier in the presentation that seventh graders will be taking eighth grade science STAAR this year. So that's not a requirement in order to take biology, if that makes sense. So I'll say that again. So like if I have a seventh grader and he doesn't take the eighth grade science STAAR this year, he's still eligible to be in biology next year based on his other data points and things like that. Can you pick which STAAR exams? So that's a good question. As far as I know, yes. So like, and again, Mr. Ng, correct me if I'm wrong. As far as I know, yes. So like if you only wanted your student to take the EOCs in eighth grade, for example, because those are required for high school graduation, as far as I know, that's totally fine. And that I will have to change the survey a little bit to make it reflect that now that I think about it, but yes. Yeah, I didn't talk about this at all, like helping students prepare for the STAAR test. I'm sorry about that. So I guess, I mean, there's the parts of it, you know, like teaching and learning side of it, and I think teachers do a good job and will make sure that everything's been covered. I think they could also give you suggestions when it comes to like the academic side of it. I do think we're starting to get to the point in the year where like the things you could do to help your kid be successful on STAAR, and think about it for third graders and fourth graders, it's their first time taking it. Like make sure that you know that they're not nervous, or I know that's hard to prevent sometimes, but make sure you're you know encouraging them. Make sure those days leading up they're getting plenty of sleep, that they eat breakfast that day, all that kind of stuff. I'll also say we're doing a like practice round of STAAR the week of April 12th. So they will get to like take the whole test and see kind of how long it is and get a sense of that. So that should help prepare as well. Yeah, Mr. Ng, sorry.
No, you did great. You kind of touched on some of the things I was gonna say, but there are different aspects as far as testing preparation goes. You know, number one is the test taking strategy. You talk about that, and our teachers are teaching our students, especially the third graders. You know, for that matter, our fourth grader, it will be their first time taking STAAR test also. So our teachers definitely talking about that. Another thing is that we have prepared all of the STAAR testing material. Previously, we passed out the copies to some of the parents already. And then so the teachers are using those material as far as, you know, practicing, you know, what STAAR type of question looks like, and on a very, you know, frequent basis. So those are some of the other things that our teachers are helping the students.
In the results, so there's a I'm trying to think how this works in a normal year, because there is a parent letter you can get that will like give you a code that you can go online and see your students' test results. I'm not 100% in how that will look this year. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, like how do we normally share results that come out in the summer? Do you know, Mr. Ng?
I want to say each parent or each student will have a code, and then we send those code to the parents so that they can access. I can't remember exactly how we send the codes to the parents, but Ms. Shah may know.
Go ahead, Ms. Shah.
You raise her hand.
I know that in the normal like school year, we will always send the STAAR results on the data conference night. Like as we explain the STAAR and everything, because we'll always have like in the beginning of the school year, or we will have like a data night, and that's when we also gave the parents the result as we explained to them, like how do you look at data, what the data mean and everything. But parents can get
access in the summer if they request?
Yeah, and I mean there is a chance, just because of the way the year is this year, like school's ending a little bit later than normal. There's a chance we would get those results back before school's over. In which case, you know, we may send them home and you know, with the in-person kids, and figure out a way to mail home or something the other results. All right. So yeah, the question, will they be spending the whole day at school? So again, the question is, so students, I'm guessing it's students who come to campus, will they be spending the whole day here? We're providing the option, and again, maybe I will go back through the slides for folks. We're providing the option of pickup between 1:45 and 2:45. But at that point, we're really close to the end of the day anyway. So it's not the end of the world if you do need to leave your student here until regular dismissal. I would say just let your child's teacher know, so that they're prepared for that. Pros and cons for taking 7th grade writing STAAR. Sorry, I don't know if everyone can see the chat. So what are the pros and cons for taking 7th grade writing? That's hard to say. I mean, I know, I think it's good, you know, because writing is so important. I think it's probably good for them to have that practice, and I think there are going to be tests moving forward where they have to kind of write under pressure. So maybe that would be beneficial. Yeah, my concern is I don't think, like, if you were applying to a magnet high school during 8th grade, I don't think they'll be looking at STAAR scores. I don't think they'll be able to, because not every kid is taking STAAR. So that would be my only wondering, would be like, are they going to consider those STAAR scores at all for kids who have them? In which case, if the scores are good, then that would be, you know, good, and if not, it wouldn't. So the question about the STAAR prep materials, Mr. Ng.
All right, let me take a look.
And then I can show the slides again.
The in-person students also have the material. I don't know if the teachers will let them take home. It's teachers' decision. But we should have enough copy for both in-person and virtual. I see Ms. Shah raising her hand. I don't know if you're trying to answer this question as well, Ms. Shah.
Yeah, I just want to explain to parents. I know a lot of some of the students might not receive some materials, the in-person students. So I know some for like 4th grade, 7th grade, the writing teacher has passed out the writing material. They should, but the reading and math teacher, they might still hold on to the materials until like a little bit later, because they want the students to focus on the writing first. So that could be the reason that you haven't seen the students, the in-person students receive the material. And usually for the in-person students, teacher will more than likely have them keep the materials in school, because that's usually the teacher will ask them to work on this if they finish the assignments in class early, and then they will work on the material. But if you have questions regarding to the material, or you prefer the students to take the in-person students material home, you're more than welcome to email the classroom teacher or the subject teachers, and I'm pretty sure they will be okay, or explain to you what is going on, basically.
Thank you.
I'm gonna see if I can. Will it let me share the slideshow? Let me try this. And then people can view it themselves. Let me see. Okay. Let me go ahead and put this in the chat, so that people can kind of go back and take a look. So yes, this link should let you see the slides. Okay, let me make sure I didn't skip anything. Okay, so the question is just like, so if I have a 7th grader, will there be any repercussions now or in the future if my student doesn't take it? So, oh, and then there's a second question too. So no, I mean, as far as we know, no. I wouldn't be fearful that there is. I wouldn't I wouldn't feel concerned at all if I had a 7th grader and they didn't take the test. Yeah, like full stop. Yeah. So will they have to take the test? They won't have to take the STAAR test, no, at any point in the future because they didn't take it this time. The only exception to that, right, is if my student is in biology or in algebra, they may have to take that, or sorry, they will have to take the EOC again at some point if they don't take it now. In-person kids, so yeah, that's a really good question. If my student's in person, they're absent the day of testing. So I have to, if they come back that week, I have to give them a makeup test. Yeah. And so yeah, this order from TEA, it actually doesn't really provide any provisions for kids who are in person. And actually, I totally forgot to say this, but the 6 weeks begins on May 3rd. So, and somebody asked me this question earlier. So if you're considering having your student come back for the 6 weeks, they will have to take STAAR then, if that makes sense. Now, 4th and 7th grade writing are next week, so obviously we won't make them go back and take that, but any of the STAAR dates that are in May, if your student is an in-person student in May, they will need to take it. So if the kid's taking the STAAR test in the zone school, I'm trying to think. So like, I guess, is this maybe relating to attendance? So the question is like, if my student, again, I'll say this again, it is an option to have your student go, it's an option for your student to take STAAR at your local campus, at your neighborhood school, your zone school. We are saying we prefer you didn't do that, but it's something you can do. So I think maybe the question is related to attendance. So like if my kid takes STAAR at a different school, can they be kind of present? I'm guessing that's and be more specific if that's wrong. So I would say maybe if you let us know ahead of time, we can make sure that your child's marked present. The practice STAAR. So this is a good question. So I told you our next round of like practice STAARs is April 12th. So in 2 weeks. The students that are in person will be taking it paper and pencil here with us. And then anybody who's virtual, regardless of whether they're going to take the real STAAR or not, will be taking it virtually. That came up last time. Like, I'm a parent. I don't plan on having my kid take STAAR. Let's pretend that's the case. They still do need to take our mock STAAR, our fake STAAR, in 2 weeks. And they'll take it virtually from home. But yeah, that's a good question. And I could see the benefit, like if your kid's going to come take it paper and pencil, it'd be nice if they could practice paper and pencil. And I have heard some campuses inviting kids to take the practice in the building. I think that would be a lot. And again, I think it would be kind of exposing everybody unnecessarily to safety and stuff. Yes, so there's a question in the chat about 8th grade biology, and that if you want to read the right way to think about it, that's exactly right. What's written in the chat. So yeah, and then my wondering too, and I asked this specifically, was like in the past, if your student takes the biology EOC and they fail, then when they get to high school, they have to take biology again, if that makes sense. So my question was, if a student doesn't take the biology EOC, are they still going to be able to move on to the next science course? And they said yes. If they get course credit from the school, they're able to move on. And all the EOC is about is the only thing the EOC is about is graduating high school. And yeah, if you're going to private high school, you do not, STAAR tests don't matter, EOCs don't matter. So yeah, you'd be all good. Yeah, good question. Questions about the EOC. How does it differ? So basically, their STAAR goes from 3rd to 8th grade, and then there are a few STAAR assessments that are given in high school, and those are called the end of course STAAR assessments, the STAAR EOCs. And so basically, to graduate high school, there's a number of STAAR EOCs you have to pass. I don't know if I can name them all off the top of my head, but some of their algebra, biology, English 1, English 2, there are different ones they have to pass. And this year, like any regular 3rd through 8th STAAR test is not related to promotion or anything else, but STAAR EOCs are still related to graduation, if that makes sense. The April 12th. So I can give you those exact dates. And it's the week of April 12th. I don't even believe there's an actual test on April 12th. But let me read this aloud, and then maybe Mr. Ng, I can write something up that you can send out tomorrow. Let me find that. So the practice STAAR test, the mock STAAR tests, Tuesday, April 13th will be 3rd to 8th reading. Wednesday, April 14th will be 3rd to 8th math and 8th grade algebra. Thursday, April 15th will be 5th and 8th grade science and 8th grade biology. And then Friday, April 16th will be 8th grade social studies. That's a good question. Okay. Yes, for here at MIMS, Algebra 1 and Biology are the only courses given in 8th grade. So the schedule I think has been in Mr. Ng's last couple emails, like exactly what is which day. Go ahead, Mr. Ng. And I can post it in the chat too. All right, and also, oh, hold on, sorry, for that person who asked that question, it's in the presentation too. If you click the presentation, it has the different dates and which test is given which day. Sorry, Mr. Ng.
No worries. Now I was addressing the high school courses. So technically speaking, we are offering the Mandarin, Chinese 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are also high school credit, but they don't have EOC though, so that's a little bit different. So
that's good clarification. Yeah. So we do give other high school courses, right? They just don't have a STAAR EOC associated. Yeah, so repeating, I think that the question was what about high school courses? I think that's the repetition. So what Mr. Ng was just saying is we do give other high school courses at MIMS, like Chinese 1, Chinese 2, Chinese 3, Chinese 4, for example. But those courses do not have a STAAR EOC. So 2 questions. A STAAR EOC, so again, if my student is in biology or in algebra, a STAAR EOC is required for my student to graduate high school. So if they don't take it this year, again, it only applies to algebra and biology. So only 8th graders who are in algebra or biology, they will have to take the STAAR EOC at some point, but they're not required to take it right now. And yeah, 8th grade social studies is not a high school course. And there is an 8th grade social studies STAAR, so that's a test you could choose to send your child for, but again, like any other STAAR, it's not required. So another question about STAAR EOC. So we're administering the STAAR EOC for algebra and biology. But again, like all the rest of the STAAR tests, it's not required that you send your student to take it. If you choose not to send your student to take it, then they'll likely have to take it in December. All right. I think I'm going to stop recording at this point, but we can take more questions. All right. So this is one more question about foreign language requirements. Ms. Shah, are you still with us? So I'll let Ms. Shah or Mr. Ng jump in on this. I think I pretty much know the answer to this. So to actually graduate from MIMS, I don't know that you necessarily have to have completed Chinese 1 and Chinese 2. Is that correct, Mr. Ng? Some students finish just having completed Chinese 1, right? Yeah. So is there a requirement to graduate from MIMS? Is there a language requirement? Yeah, so you're not required to get any high school credits to graduate from MIMS. So go ahead. Sorry.
I think the learning path will naturally, land the students on credit, high school credits by just naturally take that Mandarin classes. So they don't have to pass any EOC, language EOC, for example, and there's no such thing.
All right. Yeah, Michelle, there was a question about language requirements. I think we got it, though. I don't know if you want to add anything else. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording, but then, yeah, if there are folks who, have questions they maybe would rather ask off camera, that's totally fine, too.